That was good.
One last thing before we let you go, because we got to take our final break of the morning and make way for the guy broadcasting from Ballpark Village for opening day.
And congrats, St.
Ghostbusters
Louis, on opening day. I know that's a big
day
deal.
here.
Yeah.
It's a big day here. The new Ghostbusters trailer, I know you were...
No, here it is. Like, you can actually listen to me talk about it. And I was like, look, all these people involved can make a funny movie, and I doubt that this movie is bad. I think based on the pedigree of all involved, this movie's going to be funny. I was like, but whoever cut this trailer needs a talking to. Like, they didn't choose the funniest stuff. This was a weak foot to put out there. So if it was a review of anything, it was a review of the trailer, and that's not even reviewing the editor, because the editor is controlled by the studio going, put this in, put this in. And people online turn that into, like, Kevin Smith eviscerates Ghostbusters and rips it a new one, and all these, like, really clickable clickbait headlines. And so you'd imagine after that, I'd be like, well, I'll know not to fall into that trap again. But, I do a show called Hollywood Babylon every week where all we do is talk about entertainment. And, we make jokes, too, so they're like, ooh, these are great pull quotes, particularly in the case of Batman v Superman, which I liked, but I read all over the internet how much I hated it. Like, Kevin Smith hates Batman v Superman.
I had read that you went to see it a second time with Jason Mewes, and it was the second time you saw it.
Yes.
That
Isn't that weird that like, that I even saw it, let alone how I felt about it twice?
I know.
And that shows you, like, we live in a clickbait world where somebody's like, look, it counts as news. Why? Like, one guy who makes movies saw another movie?
I want to know what you think.
Why, though?
Because you're the king of the nerds.
No, man, that's Stan Lee. Let's find out what he thought about Batman v Superman. That'd be interesting.
I'm sure he didn't like it.
I don't know. I wonder, man. He's got a big heart. He's like Jason Mewes. Jason Mewes is a guy who's never read a bad comic book, and we would give him the really bad comic books that we didn't want. And you're talking about buying comics in those days for $1.50. So if you're giving it away, man, it hurt and stuff. Because we didn't come from money or anything. But you'd give him the books from Marvel. Did this like New Universe series of books, and there was a book called Strike Force Moratorium. It was like really terrible book. I gave him all that run of Strike Force. I was like, here you go, dude. Because he was, as much as I was poor, he was way poorer and stuff. Next day he comes in, he read all of them. I was like, what'd you think? And he was like, it was in color. It was amazing. Like, the dude's never read a bad comic book. That's why I liked going to see Batman v Superman with him, because he wasn't looking at it through like, oh, they could have done this, and why didn't they do this? He didn't pick it apart. He was just like, we got to see parademons, dude, in a movie. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Sometimes just seeing parademons in a movie is enough. And then I got fried on the internet for changing my opinion. They're like, he's a lackey who belongs to Warner Brothers. They got to him. There was one tweet that made me laugh. It was like, did they get you? Blink if you're hurt. But it was like, can't I just change my opinion? Like, I saw the movie twice, and first time I saw it, I didn't really change my opinion. I liked it both times. But one thing I said about the first viewing was like, I didn't see where the heart was. It didn't seem to have much heart. It had a lot of spectacle, but no humor and heart. And then when I saw it the second time with Mewes, I was like, oh, the heart is in the viewer, because like I had a moment with Mewes where we were like parademons. And so, there was heart enough for me and stuff. And then people were like, he's got a heart on and stuff like that. Started like tearing me apart for flipping the script and like for changing my opinion. And there was one internet story where I was reading where they're like, of course, people are entitled to change their opinion on a second viewing. Except him. Like, essentially I couldn't or whatever. But again, I didn't change my opinion. I liked the movie both times. But the first time, I talked about on Hollywood Babylon, you're in a comedy club and we're making jokes. And of course, I'm like, ping, 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 ping in the movie. But ultimately, I was like, I like this movie. Ben's amazing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And still they turned it into like, Smith hates, Smith tears it apart. And then when I said I liked it, they were like, Smith has reversed and stuff.
People are allowed to change their opinions.
Yep, sure are.
Totally. And believe me, I'm not complaining, dude. I was sitting on, these sound like, these are not problems. These are real first world problems. I was like standing on the stuff like that. So yeah, Stan Lee, I would say definitely the king of the nerds, and will remain so for all time.
You've certainly been knighted.
I'm in the court. Sure. That's I get to be the crown.
What do you think the point was where nerds became cool? What was the one point?
I think it was the day everybody realized that there's no difference between passionate enthusiasm for sports and passionate enthusiasm for entertainment.
It's the same thing.
Same exact thing. Like when I was growing up, sports were treated as like, oh, that's legitimate. Sports is like being a doctor or being a sport. Like, that you could build a career off of that sort of thing. And it wasn't until I got older in life, like what things that I liked were always like comic books, that's for children, movies, grow up and stuff like that. And when I got older, I realized there's no difference between a sports fan and a comic book fan. Like, you're both fans of people in colorful costumes who wear masks, who go out there and fight their villains and stuff, hoping to win. And neither means anything. Like, we love sports, right? But it's not like, and if they win this game, the Earth is saved from Galactus.
Right, unless you're on the team.
Yeah.
It's still good guys versus bad guys.
And it's still just a game. Doesn't mean anything. It means something if you love the game, but it doesn't, ultimately.
And you say this, it's opening day in St. Louis.
I know. Everyone in the room's looking at me like you're dead to us. Will there be an opening day in this rain?
It's supposed to clear up by 3.
Okay.
Fine.
I love, believe me, I'm a hockey enthusiast, so I understand passion and love for sports, but ultimately, winning a game doesn't change how the world works. They do games all the time in every different sport and stuff. And it's no different than comic books. They make a lot of comic books, and none of them change the world, really. They just make people in the world happy.
Right.
And that's a trickle-down kind of, same exact thing. So I think once there was enough of us who were passionate, enthusiastic, and could be heard. You could hear from sports people for years and years because they have very loud voices and stuff. And there are lots of places to talk about sports, including sports radio, sports TV shows. But with the advent of the internet, all of us could find each other, and the geek voice or the voice of fandom, of genre, of movies, of comics, and all that stuff, pop culture, became equally as loud as the voice of sports fandom. And now it's legitimate. Now your mom knows who Ant-Man is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's
Great
nuts.
point. Yeah.
It's crazy.